and then rolling it again. And then I'm going to do next, I'm going to actually move into a 3-ply, because 3-ply is another way of doing string. Roll back again so you can see what I'm doing. You go like that. I'm going to lay in a 3rd-ply here. A lot of people think 3-ply. 3-ply actually can be pretty complicated, and when you're going bigger, you really start wanting to do 3-ply, because when you look at a piece of fiber in cross-section, you do see an hourglass shape. You see that the going in and out. And so as it gets larger, or if you're actually trying to tie it, you can feel that it's bumpy. It goes back and forth, so it might get caught on things. So if you if you add a 3rd element in there and make a 3rd-ply, it makes more of a cylinder in cross-section. And the cylinder changes everything quite a bit. It takes a lot more work, it takes a lot more fiber, so 3-ply cord is only really done when it's deemed to be necessary for something. If it's going to be something that's sliding, if it's a piece of cord that's sliding through another piece of cord, the cylinder helps. But so I'm just going to start with my three pieces here. So you want your elements to be of similar diameter. The diameter, the constancy of diameter is really important. It's the part that's actually being able to keep that is showing that you are developing skill at doing this. And when you look at somebody's cord, the more constant their diameter is going down, you can tell they just were really keeping track of what was going on. And also, it's this kind of thing where if you realize that it got too skinny, you just back up and take it out and do it again. So you just don't keep going if you weren't being even. So I've got my 3 elements now. So I'm holding them like this. And when you're doing them, it's the same thing. You roll them together, and you're having to roll 3 at one time now instead of 2. But they like to not cross each other. And when you're doing this right and keeping the tension, it's fine. And then same thing, you bring them together so that they're touching and not crossing. And when you do that properly and have it tight, when you roll backwards, they do the 3-ply twist and run down. And so they make every one of them laid where they're supposed to in this triple spiral going down. So that's how you do the 3-ply, and then you just take it apart again to that point. So as with anything, you have to stop and splice. So on this one, I know that that one needs diameter added, this one needs a little, so I'm just going to double splice to these 2 and leave that other one alone. I could just lay in fiber if I wanted to as well. I can feel, I don't want to lift it up, but I can feel under my arm that the splice is tight, or I'm under my finger. And then I roll down again, make those elements spin, make them come together. And there's a lot, when I teach people how to do this, this is not something that people pick up super easily, especially the 3-ply. There's a lot of control going on, a lot of little manipulations in the muscles in my fingers and hand. But most of it is tension and knowing where to move your left hand. When people are trying to get this happening, they don't realize what's going on here. They're not paying attention to the control that's happening here, and that's why they have trouble controlling everything else. But it is something that it can be learned fairly easily with some attention, and with just starting to pay attention to the tension and the twist. But especially with any hand twisted fiber, but especially with thin fibers like the iris, this takes a long time. If I was really getting speedy, I've seen film of people from Central America that are making hammocks, and they have a stick or something with their fiber all laid out ready to go, and they get into a motion where they just grab, splice, and roll. So it's not, they don't have to spend the time like I'm doing setting up my bunches, so you can get more efficient at it. So on this one, I'm going to double splice it across here too, because all of them are running out. So I'm going to come in and try to keep that one in the middle, and this one come to each outside edge. Always untwisting when you're adding fiber, making your T. And the water really does help in all of this to make everything grip, to keep the fiber from breaking, number one, but also to keep everything gripping. And you also don't want these ends to be crossing. You want everything to be able to spin free, because that's the thing that makes this work. See, the ends are spinning under my right hand. I'm bringing the plies together, making them touch, and then when I roll back, they backspin and release the energy right here. So do you see how this one is not at all twisting? It's hanking up. If I was doing another method, I can show you a different type of doing leg rolling. When you're first learning, doing the back twist is the hardest part to get tight. So one of the things you can do, once again, I have to splice. So one of the other things that you can do when you're another style of leg rolling, which will show what I'm talking about the twist, is I'm rolling both of them, or all three of them. And then instead of doing the back twist right here where they're coming together, I can actually take my left hand and spin. And that actually works pretty well. It lets me go down, and for making a short piece of cord, there's no problem with doing that. I twisted here instead of doing the back twist. But what happens is that causes this entire length of string to start twisting. And when this length of string starts getting long enough where it's hitting the ground, the twisting tension hits the ground, and this starts untwisting and hitting the ground, and you start losing your tension, and you have a huge amount of a messy amount with your piece of cord. So if you're doing the down and back, all of this is never moving, and actually it hanks up. The people that really know what they're doing, it'll just hank up right next to the string maker. And so it shows that it's being used to its best quality that way. So now I'm going to